In a quiet corner of suburban Georgia, nestled between rows of whispering pine trees, lived a 12-year-old girl named Emily Carter. Her life hadn't been easy. Her father, a talented electrical engineer, had passed away in a tragic car accident when she was only 5. Since then, it had been just Emily and her mother, Denise, struggling to get by. Denise worked long hours at a local diner, doing everything she could to keep food on the table and a roof over their heads. Their modest home sat on the edge of town, humble and worn, but their garage told a different story. Stacked with dusty boxers, old blueprints, and rusted parts, it was a time capsule of her father's passion. And right in the center of it all, sat something most people wouldn't notice, the shell of a dead Tesla engine. For Emily, that engine wasn't just scrap, it was her father's unfinished dream. While most kids her age spent afternoons glued to their phones or playing video games, Emily would retreat to that garage like it was a secret world. She would tie her hair back, roll up her sleeves, and spend hours lost in wires, tools, and diagrams. Her dad had left behind dozens of notebooks filled with scribbles, formulas, and engineering sketches. She couldn't understand everything at first, but slowly, piece by piece, she taught herself. YouTube became her second teacher, and trial and error, her constant companion. Every screw she turned, and every circuit she connected brought her closer, not just to the machine, but to the memory of her dad. "We're going to finish what you started," she would whisper to the cold, silent engine, as if her father could hear her through the nuts and bolts. The turning point came one morning in science class, when her teacher announced the county's annual STEM fair. It was a big deal. Judges came from all over the state, and the winner would get a full scholarship to a summer tech camp in California. Emily's heart pounded. She wanted in, not just for the camp, but for something more personal. "I'll rebuild Dad's Tesla engine," she told her mother that night at dinner. Denise looked up, surprised, unsure whether to be proud or concerned. "Honey, are you sure? That thing hasn't run in years." Emily nodded with a quiet confidence that seemed too big for her small frame. "I can do it, I just need time." Her mom gave a hesitant smile. "Then go for it, baby. Your dad would love that." Over the next 6 weeks, Emily transformed the dusty garage into a high-voltage laboratory. She worked after school, sometimes late into the night, scribbling calculations, soldering connections, and reworking systems until they made sense. She knew she couldn't simply restore the engine, she had to innovate. Using her dad's old notes and a few solar panels they'd salvaged from a neighbor's junkyard, she created a way to hybrid charge the engine. Not only would it run like a Tesla, it would recharge itself through clean, sustainable energy. She named the project Phoenix, a symbol of rising from ashes. Her fingers were constantly covered in grease, her jeans stained with oil, but she didn't care. She wasn't just building a machine, she was building a legacy. The final week before the fair was the hardest. She had already failed. Twice the engine had sparked, short-circuited, and gone completely silent again. But Emily didn't quit. She reran every wire, replaced a malfunctioning capacitor, and checked every microcontroller. Her mom brought her hot chocolate and sat quietly on the steps of the garage, watching her daughter become something more than just a curious kid. She was a builder, a visionary. Finally, one rainy Thursday evening, everything was in place. Emily flipped the breaker switch, held her breath, and turned the ignition control. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the engine let out a soft whir. Lights flickered on, and a quiet hum filled the garage. It was alive. Emily let out a laugh and covered her mouth in disbelief. Her mother rushed in, tears already brimming. "You did it, Em. You really did it." The rain hit the roof gently as the hum of the engine continued. In that moment, surrounded by oil stains and open notebooks, a girl had brought her father's dream back to life. The morning of the STEM fair was buzzing with excitement at Atlanta Tech Auditorium. Rows of tables held science experiments, robots, made from kits, AI-powered gadgets, and solar-powered drones. Emily stood nervously at the edge of the hall, her booth smaller than most. But it held something far more ambitious, a rebuilt Tesla engine, shining under the light, humming gently, hooked to solar mini-panels and a digital readout display. She wore her dad's old tool belt, far too big for her small waist, but it gave her courage. Her mother, standing nearby with a camera, gave her a proud nod. Other participants eyed her curiously. She brought an engine. One whispered, "She's just a kid." But Emily didn't flinch. She wasn't here to prove others wrong, she was here to honor what she and her dad once started. She straightened her back, double-checked her wires, and waited for the judges to arrive. When the panel finally stopped at her booth, Emily's heart pounded. Among them were 2 local engineers, a professor from MIT, and a rep from Tesla, who had come anonymously to scout young talent. One of them raised an eyebrow. "What are we looking at here?" Emily took a deep breath. "This is Project Phoenix," she began. "I rebuilt a dead Tesla Model S engine using my late father's engineering notes. I also modified it to run on hybrid solar input for independent charging." The judges leaned in, intrigued. She handed them diagrams, showed the data, and powered the engine using a compact panel. The soft whir turned heads across the hall. A few students dropped what they were doing just to watch. The Tesla rep stepped forward and asked, "You're 12? Emily nodded. "But I've been learning since I was 5. That moment, the look on their faces was something she'd never forget. Within minutes, her booth was surrounded by a small crowd. Students, parents, and even reporters wandered over, amazed at how a middle school girl had reverse engineered something so advanced. "This isn't from a kit?" someone asked. "No," Emily said politely. "All handmade and repurposed." People whispered, "Genius, unreal, and how is this even possible?" The MIT professor pulled out his phone to record her demonstration. "Most undergrads can't articulate systems integration like this," he said to his peers. Meanwhile, Denise stood back with tears forming in her eyes. She had watched her daughter work late nights alone in that cold garage, fall asleep with wires tangled in her fingers, and wake up with new ideas every morning. Now, she was standing in a room full of adults, earning respect, not just as a student, but as an inventor. When it came time to announce the winners, the atmosphere was electric. Third and second prizes were called, and Emily's name hadn't been mentioned. Her heart sank a little. But then the lights dimmed, and the main judge took the stage. "This year's grand prize," he began, "goes not just to a student with talent but to someone who dared to dream beyond their age, their resources, and their situation. A girl who took a dead engine and brought it back to life." He paused. "Emily Carter, for Project Phoenix." The auditorium erupted in applause. Emily covered her mouth in shock. Denise screamed with joy from the back. As Emily walked to the stage, her small hands shaking, she clutched the engraved plaque with wide eyes. "This is for you, Dad," she whispered under her breath. Cameras flashed, and for the first time, Emily realized she had become something her father always believed she could be. News traveled fast. A video clip of Emily explaining her engine hit social media that night and went viral. Tens of thousands shared it, with captions like "12-year-old genius stuns Tesla engineers," and "This girl just changed everything." By morning, tech blogs had picked up the story. Tesla's CEO reposted the video with the comment, "We're hiring her in 10 years, mark my words." Emily received invitations to visit university campuses, offers for mentorships, and even letters from companies offering her future internships. But she didn't let it go to her head. When a reporter asked her what she wanted to build next, Emily replied, "Something affordable that helps people, especially single moms like mine. My dad always said, real inventions make life better." That quote alone made headlines. Back in Georgia, life slowly returned to normal. Emily still spent hours in the garage, tinkering with machines, sketching ideas, and learning more every day. But now, she had better tools donated by sponsors who believed in her future. Her school built a new engineering lab and named it the Carter Workshop in honor of her father and her breakthrough. She even gave a TEDx talk in Atlanta, sharing her journey of grief, grit, and growth. On stage, wearing her oversized tool belt and speaking to a room full of adults, she ended her speech with a simple line, "No dream is too big if it's built with love and courage, and a screwdriver helps too." The audience gave her a standing ovation. Years later, long after the applause faded and headlines shifted, Emily Carter would go on to invent accessible, solar-powered transportation for low-income communities. But she always credited her beginning to that one engine in a dusty garage and a father who left behind more than just tools. He left a spark, one that a little girl in Georgia caught, nurtured, and turned into a flame the whole world could see.